Can one person really make a difference? I believe so, but I think there's more to it. Let me tell you a little story that will explain to you what I mean by that. In 1999, several Utah physicians got together with others in St. George, Utah, to discuss the possibility of forming a committee to form a medical clinic to provide medical care for those who could not afford it, but who desperately needed it. During one of many lengthy meetings discussing all of the problems, all of the difficulties, all of the roadblocks, every possible obstacle known, but knowing that they needed to do it, a local physician named Craig Booth raised his hand and said something quite profound. If we're going to pull this off, he said, it takes a zealot. I believe that is the kernel of every single successful endeavor. Webster's defines zealot as someone who is excessively focused on a particular cause or idea, who does so with enthusiasm because they're eager and because they are passionate about it. We all have things that we are passionate about. We all have things that we want to do. We want to make the world a better place. We have goals in our lives, some of them worthy. But what does it take to make it happen? It takes a zealot. Doug Stewart, a playwright from northern Utah, was out walking in the desert one day, and he noticed these desert, beautiful sage and red sandstone cliffs up this box canyon. And as he looked at this box canyon, he was just hit with this idea: this would be a great place to put an outdoor theater. 16 years later, after he found the land, found the bodies, found other people who shared his passion with their passion, he was able to turn that box canyon into the Tuacahn Performing Amphitheater and now a charter school, producing millions of dollars of income for the southern Utah economy every single year. In 1999, when Dr. Booth made that statement about it takes a zealot, one of the doctors at the table turned to him and said, "Hey, Craig, where are we going to find this zealot?" Dr. Booth said, "Well, you don't have to look very far. She's sitting right down there at the end of the table." Deanne Staley, a psychiatric nurse, looked up and never looked back. She formed a board of directors. She started making checklists. She tried to figure out, how are we going to do this? Well, she got the land through a gift. She worked with the Utah Southern Home Builders Association. She found the doctors. She found the volunteers. She found people to contribute money. In 13 years, she was able, as a zealot, to turn the Doctors Volunteer Clinic into a 6,000 square foot building with 7 examination rooms, 5 mental counseling rooms, 2 dental suites, 2 full-time people, 5 part-time people, and 40 regular volunteers every single month, treating 1,000 Utahns who could not afford medical care, including children as well as adults. In 13 years, 50,000 people have walked through her doors. Debbie Justice, a teacher, because she chose to be one. I don't know if she calls herself that, but that's what I call her. Was sitting in her car in 1991 with a bunch of boxes and paperwork around her, and she was trying to start the Head Start program because she had identified vulnerable and disabled children that were not being cared for anywhere in Washington County and in nearby counties. From that moment, she started to get really into it, and she became tenacious. As a matter of fact, I always tease Debbie. I say, you know, tenacity is your middle name. She built the Learning Center for Families, which is now 20,000 square feet, 52 full-time people, over 25 rooms, over 20 part-time employees and teachers, and they serve 300 of the most vulnerable and disabled kids in this country, and they do it for 2 or 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, 52 weeks of the year. It takes a zealot, someone with passion, with focus on the goal, and the ability to carry through because they're bulldogs. They're tenacious. You too can be a zealot. Okay, now, I know what you're saying. You're thinking, yeah, but those times are different. These times have changed. They were lucky. They had connections. They were famous. Not really. So it was easy for them to do it. How am I going to do it? Well, you do it because you develop the passion for the concept, you develop the focus, and you develop the tenacity to carry through. In short, you want to be like Doug and Deanne and Debbie. Now, let me change gears on you and tell you a little story about another zealot on a much less grand scale than any one of those. Moi. That was me. I faced my greatest fear in the 10th grade when my 10th grade teacher walked in on the first day of class and says, "Kiddies, guess what this year is? This is the year you're going to give a book report. Matter of fact, you're going to give a lot of them." I was struck with absolute, total fear. That fear converted itself into huge beads of sweat that rapidly were cascading down under my arms as I thought about that. What I didn't realize is that my other 24 classmates in that same classroom had the same kind of fear. But my fear was different. You see, I was born with a stuttering problem. It was chronic and it was severe. My fear was different. Speech communicators tell us that one of the greatest fears of life generally is the fear of speaking in public to a live audience. Small, big, large, maybe a large one like this. Our greatest fear. They did a study years ago that found out that most people would rather be in the casket at a funeral than outside of it talking about who is in the casket. Now, why is that? It's just talking. It's just talking, really. Well, the fateful day came. I got up slowly out of my seat, walked up to the front of the room, stood up there, paralyzed with my notes in hand, just shaking like this. I had to kind of get my act together, and I started to talk, and something magical happened. I don't know today what it was that I said, but I said something that was funny. And the entire class broke out in this loud, extreme laughter. And I just felt great. The tension, the fear, everything's gone. But it came back quickly. So I started to talk a little bit more, and I said, I got to find something else funny to say. So I did, again. And my classmates laughed, again. I thought I could walk on water because at that moment, pow, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I want to speak in public, and I want to teach people like me that are afraid of it how to be better speakers. The rest is a long story. Get to college, I started taking speech classes, took debate, ended up with a minor in speech and drama when I graduated. Got out of there, decided I wanted to be a lawyer. I watched Perry Mason too long. Went to law school, got involved in moot court, got involved in practice court, graduated. Went out, became a trial lawyer for 35 years. Joined Toastmasters International. Joined the National Speakers Association. Just got inducted about 5 years ago. Thank you very much. Great job there. And most importantly, I formed 6 Toastmaster clubs in southern Utah and Mesquite, Nevada, where over 1,000 people, professional men and women, can now get up and present a speech and not feel like they're going to die. And here I am speaking at SunRiver FedEx. I can't believe this is happening to me. That little kid in the 10th grade is not what you're looking at here, let me tell you. In conclusion, one person can make a difference, but it takes a zealot to pull it off, to make it happen with their passion, their focus, and their tenacity. I challenge each of you today to look for that moment, to look for that challenge that hits you, and then, pow, wake up the zealot within you. I did it. There's no reason in the world why you can't too. Thank you.